sometimes think that a lot of people think that because we can't control it, we have to give up. We just got to just carry on and just accept what's happening. So even though we can't change things that's happening around us and worldwide and in our own countries and even sometimes in our own family, how you react to anxious thoughts, you have full control over. And I'm a firm believer that anxiety is not the enemy. We can't make it the enemy because anxiety is some message, something that your brain is telling you that something's not right, but you have the ability to grow from it, develop from it, get insight from it, move forward if you know how. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you tonight in this very short session. It's just one of the tools that I constantly use, and it really gets me back in the present to deal with this anxiety, but in a way that I can control. So remember, anxiety is part of our roller coaster in life. Everything about it is, it's there. From when we are born, anxiety is part of our life. And believe it or not, we can actually deal with it. And indirectly, we know how to deal with it. But sometimes we just need a bit of direction, a bit of guidance, and a bit of a reminder. So in the chat, I want you to put in, when you hear the word anxious, what comes to mind? Let's see. Come on. I love engagement. I like to interact. So let me see what your thoughts are on anxiety. Fear. I'm not surprised. It's always the big one that comes out. Panic attack. Yeah. Constant nagging fear, yes, and it drains your energy and it makes you feel so overwhelmed that everything seems like a heap of mountain of anxiety. Nervousness, yes. All right, so we're on the same page, and these are all those feelings that create that feeling of helplessness, or drains our energy, or we feel overwhelmed. So let me share my screen and take you through a short journey tonight that is easy to implement, but you need to be consistent in carrying out this tool. So thank you for adding your comments into the chat box. Okay, so if we go and have a look, that is our title, as Tony was talking about, and it's really making that shift from chaos, and chaos in terms of what we're thinking, what we're feeling, to clarity. All right, because every anxious thought is just clarity waiting to be uncovered. Remember, I said anxiety is that message that your brain is telling you that something's not right, but that you have the ability to uncover it and become clear on it. I just want you to look at my company's logo, and my company is called HPD Consultants, which stands for Human Potential Development, because I believe every human has the potential to develop if you know how. And that's why I'm in this business. And tonight I'm going to give you a short tool to show you how. So my company's logo represents a mountain in the background. And that mountain is all our anxieties and fears, uncertainties that we have within our lives. And I have that beautiful blue arrow that says, there's a way forward. So to put it into a sentence is, get out of that mountain of anxiety and propel yourself to a future that is clear. So with that in mind, let me move on to why are we here tonight? Three things. We're going to identify the root of these anxious thoughts. Once we understand where it's coming from, at least then you know what you're dealing with. Number two, shift our mindset about anxiety. Remember, I've already said to you, anxiety is not the enemy. It's actually something that's assisting you to guide you to figure something out. And number three, the easy practical tool to navigate clarity. And I am going to use a compass as part of our tool tonight. Now, remember a compass, and I know nowadays we use GPSs because we're really smart, but a compass is really used for when people go on a journey and they get lost or they're uncertain of where they should be or should be going. So what I'd like you to do on that piece of paper you got and your pen, I want you to draw a compass, a circle, and on that compass, the different directions, north, south, east, and west. Because we are going to use the compass as our direction to move from anxiety to clarity. All right, so now that you've got that, let's go and have a look. Anxiety can sometimes make us feel like we're running in circles. All those things that you mentioned, the fears, all the nervousness, all of that is like sometimes we don't know what way to go. And it always reminds me of a compass that during a storm, that compass needle goes around and spins crazy, crazy, crazy until we slow it down, breathe, the storm gets lighter, and that needle stops and points us in the direction that we meant to go. So I just want to share this with you because this is very important, this visual. I want you to keep that in your mind. There we go. I want you to keep in your mind this whole metaphor of a compass. And if you remember that, just that short visual, that is what often goes on in our minds when there's anxiety. So how do we now calm the storm and we breathe and we get ourselves into a state of dealing and learning from this anxiety? So when you have a look, once the needle has stopped it of that compass, it always shows you the direction you need to go in. But before you can actually use this compass metaphor to turn anxiety into clarity, you first need to calm yourself down. So when you're feeling that fear, that panic attack, that, remember that visual needle spinning out of control, that storm, I want you to do the following mindfulness technique. And a lady by the name of Mel Robbins was the one that made it famous. And it's been used all over the world. And it's called the 5-second technique. Now, I remember growing up. And by the way, I grew up in a very turbulent household. I've been through a lot of ups and downs. I've had a roller coaster life filled with anxiety until I got to a stage where I realized that anxiety is my friend, not my enemy. So I have earned the right to talk about this topic. And I will be revealing all of that in my book that's coming out early December. All right. Just in case you wondered, who is this woman talking about anxiety and where does it come from? So growing up, my mom always used to say to us as kids, when you're feeling nervous or anxious, count to 10. Now, give me a thumbs up. How many of you got that advice as well? You know, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And every time we did that, it was as if the anxiety got more. That needle didn't stop spinning and point in the right direction until I heard what Mel Robbins had to say. And she said, you've been doing it all wrong your whole life. You've got to swap it around. You've got to count backwards from 5 to 1. Because you have to fool the brain from not building anxiety, but getting you into a state of calmness before you tackle this journey and using your compass to clarity. So there where you are now, I want you to try the following with me. I want you to count backwards from 5 to 1. And we're going to do it like this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe. I want you to give it a try. A lot of people say, oh, I don't use that stuff. That stuff doesn't work for me. And then I say, have you tried it? No. Well, what's wrong with that picture? So before anything, you need to get your mind into a state of being in the present, because only then can you be clear about your path forward. So let's do it one more time. Come on, everybody, and I hope you're doing it with me. And it's a simple exercise. So let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe. And you'd find that when you do it, you do feel that you have come back into the present. So once you're in that state of, okay, my mind is not as foggy, I'm ready for this journey. Let me follow my roadmap and use my compass. So let's go and have a look how this compass helps you to turn into anxiety into clarity. All right. So when you go and you have a look at your N for north, north means I need to notice what's happening. I need to notice, and you cannot notice if you're running in circles. You cannot notice if your needle of your compass is spinning in all kinds of directions. And that's why the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 helps you to get into a state where I can now sit and say, what am I noticing about what I'm thinking? What am I noticing about what I'm feeling? So that is the most important part, because that becomes your true north. Once you notice that I'm feeling this anxiety, I'm thinking anxious thoughts, the notice makes you name it. So once you name it, you will realize that words have power. And when I name it, I can take my power back, because I'm saying, yes, it was all fuzzy, but my needle is pointing me to notice, and what I notice is the following. And when I know what it is, I can then take my power back and do something about it. And noticing it could be something like, or naming it is something like, I have too much on my plate, or I feel stuck. I fear that presentation. I have a decision to make, and I don't know which way. The minute you name it, at least you now know what you're dealing with it. Because if you don't name it, you're spinning out of control. All right, so that's the north. Notice it, name it. The second part is going to our east, and that is to explore. And when we explore, it's really about being that detective in your life. Because now that we've named it, it's now the next step to go and say, what is happening? What is causing it? Where is it coming from? Why am I feeling these thoughts? Is it something that is protecting me? Is it perhaps FOFO? So see the exploring part, that detective, where you are going to dig deeper to go and find the root cause. It's like a message, a clue that your mind is giving you. So let's just look at this part of explore. All right. So to name it is one thing, and that could be the easy part, but it's the most important. Why? Because it's the start. Exploring becomes a little bit more in depth. All right. So what is causing this anxiety? To go and ask the question, what will lead you to facts? What is causing my anxiety? What is causing my fear? What is causing those panic attacks? Because I've named it now. All right. By digging deeper and asking the what, you're getting some answers. Where is this happening? Where is this forming part of my life? Do you see how by exploring, you're starting to just open up and dig a bit deeper as to trying to clarify your root cause? Your why is the most important. Why do I feel stuck? Let's say we named it, I feel stuck. I don't know which way. Okay. Number 2, explore. What do I mean by feeling stuck? Well, I've got no energy. I've got no direction. I don't know which way to go. My life just seems boring. All right. Where's it happening? Well, it's happening at work and at home and just life in general. Why is it happening? Well, I've just lost interest. Now, this is the beauty of the exploring part. And I don't know if you've heard of when we talk about the 5 whys to root cause. And all it means is asking why over and over until we get to a root cause. So if we use it in this sense, all right, why do I feel stuck? Because I've just lost interest. Why have I lost interest? Because my life is boring. Why is your life boring? Because I'm not learning anything new. Why are you not learning anything new? Because I'm lazy. Why are you lazy? I don't know. And when you get to the point where you say, I don't know, you know that that previous answer is a root cause. So I know it's a simple exercise or a simple example I'm using, but do you see what we mean by exploring? Checking in, asking the right question, playing that detective, digging deep. And the why specifically, I find helps me. If I keep asking why, and I get to that part and I know, oh, damn, maybe in most cases, it's part of what I've caused. Or it could be something that has happened that's outside your control, and now at least you know what it is. The other question was, is it protecting you? Do you know that somebody said to me the other day that procrastination is bad? It creates anxiety. Now, I know a lot of people believe that, and that is partly true. But do you know that procrastinating on, let's say, a decision is sometimes a good thing? Let me explain. So with procrastination, we postpone things, we start feeling guilty, and the more we postpone, the more guilty we feel, and this guilt leads to anxiety, and then we do it lastminute.com and we get it done, and then next time same procedure. Now that is bad when it comes to procrastination. I always say, if it's procrastination that's causing this anxiety, find your energy time and set yourself a time limit or a start or whatever the case is, but get it done. The quicker you get it done, the quicker you can tick it off. The other thing I always say about procrastination that creates anxiety is make it fun. Somebody was saying to me as well that they hate ironing. So we looked at how do we make it fun, and how do we make ironing at home fun? As put on your best music, put on your vibes, pour yourself a nice beverage of your choice, watch Netflix while you're doing it, or just creates something new while you're ironing. So it's not about the actual task, but about what you're doing to get the task done. All right, so I have sidetracked a bit, but I hope that was worth the tip. Somebody was saying the other day as well about a grocery. They hate to buy groceries, and yes, they order it online, but to put the grocery list together, it just creates so much anxiety. And I was going, hey, have you not heard of ChatGPT that can help you set up a grocery list? AI is part of making our life easier. All right, so there we go, a few tips there. But let's talk about the procrastination that is sometimes good. When you postpone and postpone to make a certain decision, but something's holding you back, it could create anxiety, but it could also be warning you. So when you're not making a decision and you start to name it, and you name it, that's the north. All right, I need to make decision X, Y, Z. All right, now, number 2, explore why you're not doing it. Okay, what is causing me not to make that decision? Where is it showing up? Why am I not making that decision? Because I'm afraid. Why am I afraid? Because I don't have all the info. Why don't I have all the info? Because I didn't ask enough questions. Why didn't you ask enough questions? Well, I didn't want to feel stupid. So now we know at least what it is. It's because I created it. So a simple solution is ask the questions. So that procrastination could be helping you or protecting you from making an impulsive decision. But there was something else I mentioned as well, and that was FOFO, and I'm just going to put it into the chat box. All right, and what does FOFO stand for? Anybody know? Okay, here it comes. Fear of finding out. And often that is what causes our worries, our fears, our anxiety, because every one of us in our lives have FOFO. FOFO, so fear of finding out that I might make the wrong decision. Fear of finding out that people might laugh at me. Fear of finding out that I might start a conversation and it could lead to conflict. Fear of finding out that if I go and see a doctor, the doctor might tell me something bad. So what do? I don't go. That presentation, fear of finding out that presentation, people are going to think I'm stupid, or I'm going to make a fool out of myself. So often it's FOFO that is your biggest anxiety, because it's in your mind, it's creating anxious thoughts, but the fear of dealing with it, pushing forward, is what is causing your anxiety. So once again, name your FOFO. Explore it. What is causing it? Where is it showing up? Why do I have it? Is it something that's protecting me? I think you get the idea of the East going east is to explore. So just give me a thumbs up. How many of you realize now that you suffer from FOFO? Or put it into the chat, because we all have it. So my mum the other day, typical example of FOFO and a medical situation. She was saying, Lovey, you know, I'm getting all these aches and pains because I'm getting old. She's in her late 70s. So what do I say? Go see the doctor. No, don't worry. I'll just take an extra cataflan or this, or maybe I'm just walking too much. That's not the problem. It's causing her anxiety. But what is she suffering from? FOFO, fear of finding out that these aches and pains might be bigger. So I think you get the idea. So north is notice it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and name it. East is explore, become your own detective. You've watched enough detective programs to know how that works. Get to the root cause. So once I've identified that root cause, what would be my next option? And that is going down south. South is shifting our perspective. And that is part of changing our mindset about anxiety. All right? We have a choice. Stay stuck, continue having those anxious thoughts and fears and panic attacks, or shift to find clarity. So the previous step, explore, is getting to a root cause. And it's almost like that aha moment. Shift perspective as, now what do I do with it? Now that I know this is it, do I stay or do I shift? And to shift means new mindset creates new results. So what are some of the things you can do? Talk about it. You know what's amazing is when you start talking about some of your anxieties or even the root cause that you found, you would be amazed at how many other people feel and think the way you do. You know, I think our biggest mistake is that sometimes we think we're alone in this. No ways. Talk about it. Why? Because it's not the enemy. The more we talk about it, also the clearer it gets. Break it up into smaller steps, whatever it is. Break it up into a smaller step. Have a look and say, what can I do every day consistently to sort out this anxiety? What have I learned from it that I can grow from it? What can I do to avoid it from happening again? What support do I have? And then the actual FOFO. How do we deal when we realize it is just FOFO? We ask ourselves, what's the worst that can happen? It might not turn out the way you wanted, but at least you know what you're dealing with. And once you have clarity on what you're dealing with, you can then go and take those steps forward. For example, you could also change your language. Remember, I said words have power. So instead of saying, I'm stuck, we can change it to, I'm figuring out my next step. So are there any questions at this stage? Santa's saying guilty. Yeah. All right. So let's recap. What are we saying? Notice it and name it. Explore it in the East. Dig deep. And that asking why is such a powerful tool. S, shift your perspective, because now shifting your perspective gives you clarity. Now it's almost like, okay, I know what I'm dealing with. So now it's a step in the right direction, and I can break it down. I can ask for help. I can use AI tools to maybe save some time. There are things we can do, but only because it's now clear. So how do we take this clarity from shifting perspective to our West? And what is West all about?
Before we go to West, there was a question that was sent directly to me. Can I tell you, then you can tackle it now?
Please do, before we end in the West.
All right. It was actually about exploring, and somebody asked, do we explore during the anxiety do we explore during the anxiety attack or after?
Okay, very valid. So remember, we also get different attacks. All right, sometimes if it's mild, but remember, you need to center yourself first by 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if it's a mild situation and you just center yourself, very importantly, you could deal with it there and then. But in some cases, it is so hectic, so bad that you actually have to either reach out to somebody for help to help you to calm down, go through the process of the attack, and then deal with it. So it's not a one step sort of covers all. It depends on when you are in that state of that present state. That's when you go, and now you are ready to use your compass to direct you from that anxiety to that clarity. Does that answer the question? Please pop it or give Tony feedback. Right. And remember, that's why I'm saying this is a very easy, quick tool. And it's a tool that I use. Why? Because it's so simple, yet so profound.
The answer is yes. The question has been answered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm glad. Also, remember, if I just repeat it again, and I might be repeating the same things over and over because I wanted to just stick, is that you can only use your compass once that needle has stopped spinning and points you in that direction to say, I'm ready to tackle this and deal with it. All right. So let's go on to now north, east, south, and we are now going to end with the west. And what does west tell us? It's the way forward. You see, so many times we get to shifting that perspective and we go, yes, you know what? In future, I'm going to do this. In future, I'm going to start on Monday. You know what? Tomorrow, I'm going to make a plan. Now, how many of you have heard that? And you know what? That's also just fofo. Fear of finding out that once I start, I need to be committed. But that's what the West direction is. What is the way forward? You haven't gone through all of this, north, east, south, for nothing. So it all comes together where we now have the commitment of the way forward. Clarity unfolds with each step of the compass, north, east, south. It makes the journey less overwhelming. So when you get to the west and the way forward, it's taking what you've learned and now putting it into action. But you need to remember, progress isn't about speed. It's not a competition about how quick you can do it. Sometimes it's one step at a time. It's creating those habits and those good habits to try and say, what have I learned from these anxious thoughts? How have I grown from it? And what's the way forward to keeping that particular anxious thought clear? Create a 1% improvement, because all the 1% improvements to overcome this fear of whatever you're feeling, add them together and it becomes a new habit that works for you. For example, you can also say, break it down into those small sections and say, I'll organize my desk by just removing one thing every day. And I'm saying that because I had to do that a little while ago, is because my desk, oh man, it looked like a real scatterbrain's desk. And I had to, but I felt so overwhelmed. And when I went through all the steps, I realized that it was my desk that was causing my anxiety. And what did I do? The way forward was don't do it all at once, but just take one thing off your desk that no longer serves a purpose. And it's amazing that every day, and then some days I even took 2 or 3 until it was done. And it was like, wow, there we go. Clarity was the answer. Also ask yourself, what did I do today that moved me forward? Forward from this whole anxiety that I am dealing with. Am I still heading towards the goals or the action plan? Am I celebrating every step? And that's also important, that every time you do something to change this anxiety to clarity, and the way forward is to go, yes, because that gives you the motivation to make it sustainable. So when we have a look at the way forward is where the implementation takes place. So it's no longer just talking about it. It's no longer just about exploring it. It's about the true shifting of perspective that's now put into action. So give me a thumbs up, or in the chat, tell me, just this metaphor of a compass, easy, simple tool. Is it something that you can use and be aware of every time those anxious thoughts creep into your head? Give me feedback. So while I'm waiting for that, remember, once again, it's not anxiety that's the enemy. It's the anxiety telling you that something has to become clear. How do we make things clear? By following your compass directions, because each step is closer to creating that clarity. I would like to end off just this section. I created a song for you. And I realized it's a song. In fact, I created it last night. And when it was finished, I realized, but hey, I like it. And it's definitely a song that I am going to be using in my way forward. Why? Because it's a reminder of these directions, but it's also a feel-good song that when we're feeling a little bit down, when we're feeling a bit nervous, that it's a pick-me-upper. And I'm going to play it to you, and I hope that you also find it as a pick-me-upper. And if you like it, and when you have those moments and you listen to it, it will remind you of this session tonight. Follow your compass for direction when you are lost or when you are uncertain. I will also pop the link into the chat box if you want to download it. So here we go. Enjoy, everybody. Let's read the words.
North is where my mind takes flight, thinking deep into the night. Every thought a star so bright, guiding me with gentle light. East I turn and seek the truth, meanings hidden since my youth. Symbols dancing in the booth, finding answers in each groove. Four directions in my heart, compass spins, it's just the start. From the north to east we chart, journeys that we play a part. South we go to change the view, shift feet over something new. Perspectives broad like morning dew, different angles to pursue. West we march with firm intent, actions speak where words are spent. Steps we take, our messages sent, forward moving time well spent. Turning points we can't ignore, travel paths we've walked before. Discover more and then explore, future's knocking at our door. East I turn and seek the truth, meanings hidden since my youth. Symbols dancing in the booth, finding answers in each groove. Four directions in my heart, compass spins is just the start. From the north to east we chart, journeys that we play a part. South we go to change the view, shift feet over something new. Shift feet go to change the view, journeys that we play a part.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Tony. And I hope that that is a pick-me-upper. I'm going to put the link to that song that I created especially for you into the chat box. And I really want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this compass metaphor with you. Take it with you. Use it. It works. Over to you, Tony.
Thank you very much, Carol.
Sure.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying. And if you have other questions, please put them in the chat. If you have a question that you want to send directly to me, that is also fine. Thank you for taking us through the compass. And one of the things that I have really enjoyed is 4-4. I like the acronym 4-4, the fear of missing out.
Yeah,
And,
it's a big fear.
It is a big fear, indeed. But we need to notice, we need to explore, we need to shift perspectives so that we can find a new and better way forward to deal with anxiety. Great. So let me go straight to the questions that were sent earlier. What made you, Carol, believe that you could break through the feeling of anxiety?
Very good question. So what made me believe I could break through? I think it was the mindset of realizing anxiety is not the enemy. I always thought it was a bad thing, but now I realize that anxiety is actually my guide. It's actually walking alongside me and warning me of things and guiding me. So I also realized that anxiety doesn't define us. All right. It's basically about recognizing that we have control over it and we can deal with it. And by learning some tools and simple tools that are easy to just activate when needed, has helped me to overcome that and break through it. And that's why I love sharing simple tools with people. I also realized with each small step, confidence grows. And the more confident you are, the more you move the way forward, the more you start seeing real change.
Thank you, Carol. And I remember reading someplace that sometimes when the feelings or the changes that your body goes through when you are anxious are also the very same feelings that the body goes through when you are excited. And
Yes.
it helped me enjoy the compass even more because I can shift my perspective. Instead of saying I'm anxious, I can say I am excited. I can say things that are more positive because the chemicals that are in my body are the same ones that will come when I'm excited. And I'll probably find a better way forward because of thinking of it in a positive way. So,
Absolutely.
thank you very much. Looks
So
like
I think, Tony,
Go ahead. Yes.
I'm interrupting you, but I think, and there I just learned something, and I always believe I'm a student of life, and I love learning from you. And I think the learning point for everybody, and specifically for me in what you just said, is so profound, is that next time it's anxious, just, yeah, you know what? This is exciting because I get to use my compass. This is exciting stuff. And changing that mindset can also propel us forward. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you too. So you have already answered the second question, which was how to manage anxiety, and we have a compass to go with. But there is one that I feel perhaps the person would like to hear it answered. They had asked, how can I end my social anxiety because I have lost a lot of opportunities due to the same?
Wow, that is a tough one. But it doesn't have to hold the person back, whoever's asked that question. So use the compass. So name it. Go and have a look and say, this social anxiety, what exactly is it? Because it's not social anxiety, it's got a name. And what do you name it? Is it because, is it I don't have confidence to speak to people? Is it I'm scared I'm going to make a fool out of myself? Is it because I'm an introvert? Is it because I'm shy? Is it because, what is it? Name it. Because once you've named it, you can now explore, where is this coming from? What is this teaching me? What is this protecting me from? And why? Why is this happening? And once I've got to the root cause of that anxiety, because there has to be a root cause. And you know what? Come closer. Let me tell you a little secret. Sometimes it's the voices in our head that create our own anxiety. What do I mean by that? Is that often I find that people have got these voices in their head from when they were young. Either what their parents told them, and most of them are negative, or what teachers told them, or what, kids are cruel at school. They don't always take accountability for what they say. They're impulsive. And, sometimes I hear people say, I'm afraid to talk in front of people and use my voice because when I was in grade 2, the kids laughed at me. That voice is still in their head. And sometimes it's that voice you need to shut down and say, where are those kids? That's not the situation anymore. We've passed that. So sometimes we need to shut down the voice that is not favoring our way forward. And once we identify what and explored what is the social anxiety, why is it happening, what is the shift perspective, what can I do about it, and what is the way forward. And sometimes it's the small things that we need to do. So start with small social interactions to build that confidence and work your way up. If this is an anxiety, build your comfort zone around certain people. Another powerful tool is to reframe that inner dialogue. Focus on being more present rather than worrying about other people's perceptions. And over time, you get used to your comfort zone. And remember, when it comes to social anxiety, we have to realize not everybody is going to like us, and we're not going to like everybody. I mean, there are some people in my family, oh dear, did that come out loud, that I don't like. But I know when we're together, I can get along. I don't necessarily have to be in great conversations with them. So I also think that something like social media has caused a lot of anxiety in our lives because it forces us to almost go into a competitive mind. What's put out there, and I think, Tony, you mentioned it in one of your posts on LinkedIn, is the false news that's out there. And people drawing comparisons about, look where those people are versus where I am. And you know what? It is so bad to have that anxiety because it is self-imposed. My question always is, how do we know that other people are living the life that they are? Nowadays, with AI, I can create that I live in mansions. I travel the world, and I can put out this message that socially I am the go-to person, when in fact I could be living in a bachelor's flat. So I hope that helps, is that we need to stop comparing ourselves to others and live the life that you want to live. And if it means having a small crowd that creates joy and happiness, why not?
Thank you, Carol. I think that you've tackled them really well, and I am glad, and especially they all keep coming back to the compass.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's where everything is bringing us back to, which was your main message for the day. Now, I wanted you, Carol, to just share your information. How can we find you? How can we follow you? So what are your socials? So can you put that in the chat for us before we close this? And while you're doing that, if anybody has a comment, if anybody has something to add, ask, this is also a good point to do that. You can put it in chat as Carol is getting that information so that she can. In
fact, I'll just put it on the screen.
Okay.
There we go. If you can see that.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can see it. We've lost
there
it.
We go.
There it is. There it is. Yeah.
So info@hpdonline.co.za, and you can go to the website www.hpdtraining.com, or you can hook up on LinkedIn and of course Facebook, which I haven't got it there, or reach out to South Africa 832651008. So maybe just take a snapshot of that.
Hey.
And I look forward to hearing people. And yes, I did mention about AI tools, and I am going to be doing a free session, short session on just getting into and understanding AI tools. So I'm just putting that out there. If anybody's interested, if you're saying that, you know what, I'm afraid, I have anxious thoughts around AI, I don't know how it's going to help me, I don't know where to start. Well, that's what the session is going to be all about, because I know how anxious I was when I had to get to learn all these things.
Thank you, Carol. So, team, if you have any comments, it's now that time, because we want to end it. I am connected to Carol. If you didn't take that information, you can get in touch with me. I will be sharing the recording as well, so that
Thank you.
You can catch the nuggets, especially for the people that came in late. And the info will be there as well, but you can also reach out to me and I can put you in touch with her. So there being no comments, I'm not seeing any comments. I'm not seeing any hands up, so I'm assuming that we are done. If you are new to us, I will also share our website so that you can visit it. That's all I'll share tonight. If you are new to us, our website is theinfluential.co.ke. Thank you so much for being part of our evening and for allowing us to go about 11 minutes over the hour. We appreciate your patience. Kelly, thank you. I see those pups. Carol, you are amazing. I appreciate you. Thank you for the compass. I have not interacted with this, so for me, it was a learning point as well. And for those people that came late, I can see a lot of appreciation on the screen. Carol, Yvonne, I see that. Notice, explore,
Wonderful.
shift perspectives, and find a new, better way forward. Thank you, Reynold. I see that as well. So let us give Carol her flowers, our claps, our thumbs up, and then we will call it a night. Then after that, you can feel free to leave at your own pleasure and leisure. Thank you. I see those. Carol, I hope you're seeing that. All those are for you for an amazing
I'm
presentation.
loving it.
Yes.
Asante sana, everybody.
Yeah. And Carol can be invited to speak to your teams. She can be invited to train as well. Yeah. She does that across borders in our country and in other countries. Yeah. So
Thank you for that.